Hey guys, I want to take a second and thank Comfort Pro. Since 2001, Comfort Pro has been helping customers stay comfortable where they live, work, and play. They have 24/7 emergency service and a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. If you need help with your heating and air conditioning or indoor air quality, call Comfort Pro at 484-917-1803. Mention the show and receive a free humidifier with the installation of a complete system. This is going to be a good one, Hugo.
The Brad Weisman Show. Real people, real life, and everything in between.
So what do your kids think of this?
Oh, they are so embarrassed.
In order to be unstoppable, you simply don't give up. You get knocked down, you get back up again.
Where curiosity opens the door to genuine connection.
Men really struggle with their emotions. They really struggle with even understanding what's going on.
Unfiltered conversations with the people shaping our world.
What kind of show is this?
And there's red quilted leather all over the walls. There's a swing hanging from the ceiling.
I don't sweat you.
And now, your host, Brad Weisman.
All right. We're back. Hugo.
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm ready for spring.
Did you forget your microphone there for a second?
No.
You ready for spring? So am I, man. I'll tell you what. This weather, we're getting these little teasers now, that come in and out. But yeah, summer's on the way, man.
Yeah.
Spring is going to be in full bore here, and summer's on the way. But we got another good guest.
All right.
I'm not even sure how I found him. I think we kind of found each other maybe on Instagram or something like that. Typical for the social media and stuff like that, how we find each other. And it's an interesting one. The guy was an NFL football player and then ended up starting a business, and it's called Simply Noted. And he's the founder and CEO of Simply Noted. And it's really interesting. It's handwritten mail. So we're going to talk to him. His name is Rick Elmore. Rick, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for being here. I don't remember how we found each other on social media, but we did. And I'm glad we did. I read your information. And the thing that really got me was that you have a company called Simply Noted. And it's a handwritten notes that you do. And we're going to dig into that because it's pretty amazing. I saw pictures of the machinery that you've invented or founded, but then I looked a little deeper and I found out you were an NFL football player. So why don't you start with the story of that, how you went from being an NFL player to getting into this company, which is completely different than being a football player.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. If you would have told me when I was 10 years old I was going to be running a robotics and engineering and software automation business, I would have told you you're crazy. Just going all the way back to the beginning, to the genesis, when I was 7 years old, I had my childhood trauma. My father passed away. And my mom, what she did to kind of help us through that was kept us busy in sports. And I played all the sports growing up. But what I did is I fell in love with football because, I was a bigger kid. I'm 6'5".
Wow.
I was always taller and bigger than most of the kids. But I always joke that I fell in love with football because I could hit people and not get in trouble. So you could take out that inner anger. Kids don't know how to process their emotions, right?
Sure.
Most adults don't know how to deal with their emotions. But I remember when I was a freshman in high school, I set the California record for sacks at the time. It was 26 or 27 sacks in a single season. And I thought I was just doing my job. I felt like I was doing a good job, but we were at the awards assembly. My coach comes over and he shakes me. He's like, Rick, you have no idea what you just did. I was getting all these awards from all the state and stuff. He's like, this is phenomenal. You got to focus on this. You got to go with it. So it's at 15 years old, I was like, hey, maybe I have something here.
Oh, wow.
And from that moment on, I really just dedicated myself to the sport of football and had a really good high school career, got a football scholarship to the University of Arizona. I was a 3-year starter for Mike Stoops back in 2007 or 8, 9, and 10. And then was drafted to the NFL. Had the typical NFL career. Most people think if you go to the NFL, you make all this money. 1% of the guys who go actually play through an entire contract. And most people don't know this. The NFL is the only professional sport where the money's not guaranteed. You may get a signing bonus that's guaranteed, but the NBA, the MLB, if you sign a contract, most of it's guaranteed. In NFL, you only make the money to that day. And I remember when I was on the Cleveland Browns.
So it's like a paycheck, you're saying then, is what it's like. So you're getting a paycheck.
It's rented labor. You're just rented labor.
Wow.
It's modern day gladiator. You know, they pay you for the performance, and then if you're there next week, you get paid again. If you're not, you don't get paid. Wow. And yeah, it was just wild. But had the typical 3-year NFL career. The NFL stands for not for long for a reason, right? You know, most guys get in and out. There's younger, healthier, cheaper talent coming in every single year. And that's when I ran into like my, adult identity crisis. For the first time, I wasn't Rick Elmore, the football player. You know, for over a decade and a half, you know, I was like Rick, the good football player. Like everybody always wanted to talk to me about the game or the team or whatever. And like now they're like, what are you going to do? I was just like, you know, freaking out. And, you know, what I was always good at though, like on an individual level, I was always driven to be successful, whatever I was doing. I wasn't motivated. I was driven, and it's very different. Yeah. Motivation is fleeting. It's high energy, peaks and valleys. Being driven, you show up even when you don't want to do it. And I've always had that personality towards exercising, working out. And then when I had to do it for something else, it was the same thing. I just took everything that made me successful as an athlete and transferred it over. And I was lucky because most people don't get to start working on those personal skills until they're like 21. Yeah. I was working on them when I was 7, you know, competing, you know, working hard, dealing with failure, you know, all the stuff you know, all the growth you get from youth sports, right? Yep. But I just got into corporate medical sales, top 1% or top 5 sales rep for the first 5 years. I knew there was something else out there for me. And I went back and did my MBA, and this is where my life changed. You know, I was a typical horrible student. I wanted to be outside, grew up in California. I wanted to skateboard, play sports, you know, go do things outside. But what I found out was when I went back to my MBA, I was fascinated with business. I wanted to know how business worked. I want to know how you started a business. All I did was sales, you know, like when I was in corporate, they didn't teach anything. They just said, go out and make us money. So when I went back into my MBA, you know, I fell in love with learning, and that's really important to your personal growth and like everything that you do in your career. And of course, being an entrepreneur. But I was a year into my program when I was in a marketing class, and this is where the idea of Simply Noted came. I had a marketing professor, and these were 3.5 hour long classes. I took 2 classes every Wednesday for 2 years. I know, 7 hours every Wednesday. So we got there at like 2:30. We left at like 10:30 because we had a break in the middle. And exhausted. This marketing professor was, you know, talking. No one's paying attention, most likely, right? It's late. And he's going through like email, direct mail, cold calling, you know, all the traditional ads, all the traditional marketing stuff. And he ends this lecture saying something that, you know, just made sense to me. He says, hey guys, you know what works better now, if not better than ever, is a good old fashioned handwritten note. They get open 99% of the time. They're rare. No one's like looking at the mailbox anymore. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, that's a no brainer, but like who has the time to sit down and send a handwritten note? So like, true. It took me 2 weekends I used to send printed holiday cards to my clients. It took me and my wife 2 weekends to just handwrite the address on a white envelope and put a print card in it. Yeah. I was like, how are you going to send hundreds or thousands of these? And just got to Googling. You know, there was a company doing handwritten notes for weddings. I was like, that's a horrible industry. Like one-time clients, bridezillas, tight budgets. Like it's not a business play.
Definitely bridezillas.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Like, anybody who's been married gets it, right? You get it. It's
you know, the card's never going to be right. It's never going to be right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, so I was just like, you know what? If I can test this for a business, I'm sure there's a use case. So I got a pen plotter out of China. I started Googling handwriting robot, you know, handwritten mail business, and was trying to like do some reverse engineering. Like, what are people doing? Looking at pictures. And I saw these pen plotters by AxiDraw. And I was like, hey, like, I'll try it. I got it. And I had no clue what I was doing. I had to deal with Python. I had to deal with software integrations, Inkscape, all these things. And I didn't know how to do it. I just would talk to people. Like I wasn't a software guy. Like I would talk to somebody who knew a software guy and I'd be like, hey, I'm trying to do this. Can you help me? So I got help. Right? Yeah. I didn't do this on my own. Like I got help. Yeah. But I got this pen plotter to write out 500 handwritten notes in just about a month.
What's a pen plotter? It's a
3-axis. Yeah. So a pen plotter is basically, I mean, I can go grab one. I have my boneyard of like old tech.
But it's an old, so it's something you order and you put a pen in it.
Yeah, so it's basically this machine. So it has like a XYZ axis,
Right.
so it can move back and forward, left and right, and up and down.
Yeah.
And you would place a pen on it, and then it sends like G code instruction to the machine to move it and write like handwriting.
Oh, wow.
So it requires like Python, it requires Inkscape plugin, it requires like all this stuff to make it work.
Yeah.
And like that was my first hurdle just to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I sent out 500 handwritten notes that were written very badly on this AxiDraw pen plotter, and the response rate was amazing. For the first time, I had like my clients call me back. I had a $50,000 a month quota, and in the first 6 weeks, I sold just under $300,000 in sales. My whole business was going nuts. You know, made the most money I've ever made.
Wow.
You know, in a sales job at that time, and that was when I had the entrepreneurial seizure. I was like, you know what? There was a light bulb moment. I researched it. I tested it. I proved it out. This is a business. I just got to run with it. And fast forward eight years, we've gone. I would say we're not even in the same universe anymore. If there's a multiverse, like if you believe in multiverse, we're in a completely different universe when it comes to technology. We've completely engineered our own robot. When I say we, I mean our engineers, our software developers. I just project manage, you know. I call myself like I have like a PhD in problem solving. I don't solve the problems. I just find the people who help me solve the problems.
Sure, exactly.
Right? And I think
you leverage what you don't know. What you don't know how to do, you look at that, you look at it from up here and go, okay, this needs help, or I need to do something here. And then you find the people that are the best at doing that. But I did see on your videos, the machines that you have that do this stuff. And so you guys, you and your team created these things. These are not something you just went out and bought.
9 patents. We've tried to patent them mechanically, but we just keep getting denied. The real secret sauce is in the software, because that's what makes it looks real, and that's what makes it scalable within our system. That's the hard thing, is making this scalable. You know, when you're servicing thousands of clients and they're putting in thousands of orders a day, trying to keep track of that with older technology is impossible. So we have scanners, we have cameras, we have automated mailing equipment, automated print production, like all this stuff that's had to be figured out in order to scale this business. It was a blessing and a curse to start this business as my first business because of everything I've had to learn. This is definitely.
Plus, it also seems very investment heavy. Like when you're inventing something, it's not like you can just go, oh, well, they have that. I'll just get it and I'll just tweak it a little bit and then we'll do it this way. You know, when you're inventing something, you're creating something completely new. There's a lot of money that's because things fail. You know, you might think that this is going to work and it fails. And the next thing you know, you got, 500 envelopes that were done the wrong way.
Yeah. Millions and millions of dollars have gone into the design, the engineering, the production, the maintenance, the scaling of this product. And it's all customer funded. My background is sales and marketing. I'm incredibly obsessed with learning on how to scale a business. You know, we've invested a lot in SEO, a lot in PR, a lot in a product that is scalable. You know, in order to make or create like I call it like a recipe for success. I always like to use analogies. Like you can't, if you're going to make, 100 cupcakes, just like something that's going to be scalable, you can't use, a certain ingredient that's not going to allow you to get to 100 cupcakes, right? Like it's a recipe for success. Like, so everything has had to scale together. So our productions had to scale together, our engineering, our ads, our sales team, our marketing team, like we've had to slowly scale together to grow together to become the business that we've become today. You're going to find out really, once you get to $2 or $3 million in revenue, what got you here won't get you there.
Yep.
And in order to keep scaling, like everything has to scale.
Yeah.
Like
the building has to get bigger, or everything has to change.
I mean, everything. And it's like, and then you have to like, your problem solving goes from so like micro focus to, okay, now I have so many other problems I got to scale and figure out together, but you still got to like figure them out independently. Yeah. I like to compartmentalize, like I address them on different days. I have like marketing Mondays. I have sales Tuesdays. I like to like really focus, Yeah. But yeah, it's really interesting scaling a business. I'm absolutely like passionate about it because it's like the ultimate puzzle. Like it's like
absolutely.
There's always a problem to work on, so it keeps you really engaged.
Well, yeah, because otherwise it would get boring, and I think that's an entrepreneurial thing. Is we don't entrepreneurs definitely don't exist well with monotonous. So if something is very monotonous, the same thing over and over. That's why I've been in real estate for 33 years now, because it's never the same thing twice. I mean, everybody thinks, oh, you're selling a house or you're doing this. No, every day is completely different. You know, it's a different person, it's a different house, different problems, different inspections, different whatever. So I get it. And I think that's really cool. So let's go back to the machines. So now you have these machines, and you said, how many can you do at one time? You were telling me before we recorded.
We have 220 custom built handwriting robots. Our engineering team's here in Gilbert, Arizona. They're about 10 miles away from our office. So we just scale as we need to. Yeah. Each robot, you know, can do anywhere from like 400 to 1,000 letters a day. It just really depends on the length of the letter.
Yeah,
so like this is the time when you start geeking out and like nerding out with like all the specifics, because they're literally dragging a pen as it writes every character. So, you know, we have the capabilities of writing, you know, 1 million pieces a month. We don't do that. You know, it's such a niche product, but like what we had to do is scale production to get ready for those big influxes of orders, because we do have clients who will place hundreds of thousands, you know, then it shoots down our production for 10 days, you know, so we had to scale our production, even though, you know, we don't always use 100% of our capacity, if that makes sense, because we had to be ready.
You know what's interesting too? I saw yours online, and I saw like the intricacies of it. And I've seen people other businesses like yours that have tried to do what you're doing, and basically all it is it's handwritten, but it's printed. You know what I mean? Like
laser fonts.
And it doesn't look the same. Where you're actually putting a ballpoint pen or whatever it is to paper with a robot. Hi, this is Brad Weisman. Come back here every Thursday at 7 p.m. to watch The Brad Weisman Show. We have new guests every single week, and we love having you as an audience. All right, we'll see you soon.
100%. Everything we do is real pen written. We don't use any, what do you call it, branding. No one will ever know you used it. But we're also a very tech forward focused product. Like we track a handwritten note to the mailbox, never been done before. We track QR code scans on the envelope or on the card. So if you put a QR code on the handwritten note, we could actually show you who scanned it. So imagine like you're like a land investor and you send out 10,000 pieces and you see 400 people scan that QR code. Now you have data, you know, you can set up like a notification to email them, update a spreadsheet and have your team call them. Speed to lead now becomes, you know, the attribution for your handwritten mail is now trackable. That wasn't done. Like no one could do this stuff. And that was part of the reason of building our own handwriting robots. We had to like improve and become like the objectively better technology. So we didn't have to do what everybody else does, just sells on price. Yeah. You know, how you win business is how you lose business. And Simply Noted is a tech focused business that's constantly invests to push the product forward. And it's just hard for other people to keep up because they just invest in sales and marketing, and we're constantly investing in the technology. Right. So the bigger, more professional brands will want to work with us because we just have features other competitors don't have, if that makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. I get it. And there was something I was thinking here I wanted to say. Now I just lost my train of thought. But with that, what is your top business? Like what? I mean, you might top 5 maybe. But what businesses use you the most? I mean, I'm a realtor, so do you get a lot of realtors using you?
Tons. Yeah. Yeah, so we have like a self-service platform. You know, if you're going to send like onesie, twosie, or 100 or 200, we try to like show you how to use the website. But, you know, it's very seasonal. Like right now we're going into the spring. A lot of real estate like investors are like using us to go like pepper the neighborhoods and say, hey, spring cleaning, if you want to sell your house, you know, they're trying to like farm off market deals. A lot of land investors, political, nonprofit, home service is big right now.
Landscaping.
You know, yeah, just big like service-based businesses, you know, and then like there's tons. And that's been the hard thing about scaling this product is so many people, so many different industries use us. And being a self-funded business is like, we don't have the time or the money to sit there and just like scale up in one area. We have to work with anybody who wants to work with us. So yeah, it's been growing a tech robotics engineering business, self-funded in mail, which is a tight margined It's not like we're getting tens of thousands of dollars in profit. It's been incredibly hard.
Now, do you guys actually, and you send it out too. It's not like you're sending it to somebody and then they have to send it out. You're like one-stop shop. So you go into your website, or if you're doing larger products, you probably contact you directly or whatever. But you go in there and you create the 100 pieces, and then you guys mail it. It goes out to the mail. It goes out with that QR code and everything that you're talking about.
We do everything here. I mean, we have a 12,000 square foot facility. Full print shop, full mail shop, full engineering, all production, all robots. I mean, everything's here.
That's cool.
It's just wild.
Where do you see it going next?
Wild.
Do you think it's now with AI? Do you see these cards being written by AI? Or are you doing that already? Or, is there any AI that's in your business?
So we do have. So I actually talk and consult on AI. I'm very bullish on AI. I think there's a tsunami coming. There's 30 million small businesses in the United States, and none of them are ready. 0%. Yeah. And it's the businesses that can adapt, evolve, and implement AI are the ones that are going to continue to flourish. I mean, all my life, I'm sold on it. Yeah. We're using AI in our business. We have a Mac Mini that runs 3 SDRs. All it does is outbound and book meetings for our sales team. But anything that's on a computer and AI can do better. It just takes the person to orchestrate and build it and engineer it in a way that's most beneficial for that business. Yeah. And there's opportunity there too, to go in and talk to businesses and say, hey, what's your biggest thorn in your side? What's the biggest problem you're having, and then set up some type of AI agent to help you solve that problem. I have SDRs that cost $60,000 a year. Now I'm running 3 of them on a Mac Mini that I had in my office that run on $9 of electricity. We have local large language models that are doing all the heavy lifting. Every once in a while we have to, ping Anthropic or ChatGPT and use some API tokens. But the cost of running 3 SDRs is going to be less than $100 a month versus $180,000 a year.
Yeah,
think about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. That scale.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll share some more stuff off of. Yeah, but
that's crazy.
There's a lot.
Crazy.
There's a lot to go into this.
It's amazing. So basically, everybody's using this product or using your materials because it's still the handwritten note. Obviously, is going to even become more important, I think, as AI becomes more involved, because people still want to see a handwritten note. And it is funny, whenever I go through my mail, if I see something that's handwritten, it's the first thing you open. The other stuff kind of just goes to the side.
It's just so funny. It's I've been doing this for 8 years. I've been on hundreds of podcasts, and it's the same thing that's said every time. What you just said, you go through the mail, you look at all the junk, you look at all the postcards, right? But you see the handwritten letter, and you're just so intrigued. Yeah, right? You're like, who is that? Why'd they send it to me? And it's imagine doing that in your business, at scale, right?
Yeah,
people, will work with who they know, like, and trust, right? What's a way to get someone to know, like, and trust you, right? You can spend time with them, but that's not scalable. You can call them. That's not scalable, but you can also send them a handwritten note, and perception's reality. They're going to think that you gave them time, which you didn't, right? And then it's going to put you in a category of trust versus someone who just emails them, right? So handwritten mail, I think it's just a secret weapon. I'm 38. I think my generation going forward will always have nostalgia towards the mailbox, and they're going to appreciate it. And the human to human, human in the loop in business is going to be around, I think, for 30 years. Yep. But I think my kids at least, they're 6 and 8. I think they're going to grow up in a completely different world. But I think we're safe. But it's really important to invest in those relationships. As AI is coming, it's going to transform businesses, and people will still want to work with who they know, like, and trust. But it's up to you to make sure that you are making that investment in your relationships. Yeah. It's just, how are you doing it?
And with AI becoming more and more relevant or in our lives, it becomes harder to know, like, and trust, because we become more distant. So that's what's cool about the written note is something that will make you want to go, oh, well, who's this? And then you start reading it or whatever. The other thing I was thinking about here was with the AI thing. So you're saying when somebody goes onto the computer, do you suggest that they write their own note, right? Not have AI do it. You're suggesting that we write our own stuff.
You can use a large language model. I think there's a time and place to put your own message. If you're going to send like a message to your best friend and it's going to be like completely heartfelt, but maybe you write it yourself. I don't know. I'm very business focused. I like to be professional.
Yeah.
I like to make sure that it's reading the right way.
Yeah.
How I talk sometimes may be too direct, and I don't want it to come across too direct. So I have no problem using large language models to come up with copy that makes it read better.
Yeah.
But, as a business, like you have tools, right? It's up to you to use the tools that are available to you to help you execute better.
Yeah.
And, what tools are you using that are helping you execute better? And then what tools are you using that you can learn more about that can help you execute at a higher level, right? Yeah. Everything's evolving every single day, everything. And if you think you knew something 2 years ago, I'm sorry, but you don't know it anymore. Like it's so far forward that you're behind.
Yeah.
And it's like, in order to stay competitive and stay ahead, and I would say future proof. I don't know if you can really do that in any business, but it gives you the best chance to future proof is to continue learning and be a lifelong learner and learn how to continue to use these tools to help you execute better and more profitably.
The thing I read in here too, which I really liked, and is that you have the ability to have somebody, you could do my handwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like if I wanted, because you can actually do that. I know there's a cost to it. I did see that there's a cost to it, but if I wanted to have my handwriting on something, you could do that.
Yeah, we're actually doing, I can't say who, but like there's a company that they've been around for 100 years. It's a CEO. We're sending 125,000. This is like what makes it like it validates, makes it validating. When you're going a business, like in the early days, like you sit there and you're like, man, was this worth it? But like the further you stick to something and you look back, you realize how far you've come. And we're actually working with a CEO of like a Fortune 100 company. It's 125 year anniversary. I don't know, but we had converted his handwriting and he's sending out 125,000 notes. It's a large $1 billion global brand. I'm just like, that's cool. That is cool. You're having somebody come to us and they're trusting us to send letters in that guy's handwriting, and it's just like, it's so cool.
That is very cool.
That's like when I go to bed at night and I'm just like, see, that's what we're doing matters. It makes a difference.
Absolutely. So you have a question?
Rick, I have a question. So you mentioned maybe two different formats. Do you do letters or notes, like the thank you cards, or what type of papers or formats? I don't know if format is the right term, but what type of formats, let's call them, do you offer?
So we're optimized for like the note card like this. It gets open the most. So like the 5x7, we're optimized for that, but we can write on anything. So we just like, if you're going to work with us and invest like a lot of money, we want to make sure you have success, right? Like don't send a number 10 envelope like it looks like a bill.
Yeah, so true.
Something that like it looks more relational driven, right? It stands out. It
looks like a Hallmark card.
Size to it. Looks like a Hallmark card, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of real estate inside that envelope and on that card that you can do a lot with. You can still make it a marketing piece, but make it look different. But yeah, we can write on anything. We can write postcards. We can do 4x6, 5x7.
Awesome.
Number 10, envelopes, 8.5 by 11 letters. We can do anything. We've been doing it a long time. We know what works.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome.
That's very well, and I think it's a great business. It's an awesome business. I think you guys are doing it at a really high level too. But we're going to wrap it up. Is there anything that maybe we didn't touch on that you would want to share, or that we could talk about? But
wait, how do you find them?
Yeah, how do we find you? Yeah,
right.
You're pretty easy to find. Put your name in and you show up everywhere. A lot of it has to do with football, but then there's also Simply Noted is all over the place. So is that the best way? SimplyNoted.com, I guess?
Yeah, SimplyNoted.com. You can just request a sample. We'll send you a big sample kit like this.
Oh, cool.
We spend like $20 or $30 just getting you guys like all the samples before you even spend $1 with us, or just go to LinkedIn. That's my like number one social media tool is LinkedIn. I get spammed all the time, but if it looks real enough, I'll respond.
Yeah, right.
But if anybody has any questions, I'm awesome. Happy to help any way I can.
Well, I love it, man. It's great. It's a very innovative thing, and I think it's actually something that's going to last for a long time because the more we get into AI, the more people want to see like real things. You know, they want to see something that's like a real written note. So it's very cool. And if you have handwriting like my handwriting, you will definitely just let you do the writing because you won't be able to read my writing anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, that's about it. Thanks a lot, Rick. I appreciate it. All right. If you are looking to do handwritten notes and you have writing that's like mine, you would want to talk to Rick there at Simply Noted. He's the founder and CEO. It's such a cool business. And I think if you want to look him up, you want to do some cards or do whatever for your business, check it out. SimplyNoted.com. It's the best way to get them. All right. That's about it. We'll see you next Thursday, 7 p.m. All righty. Hey guys, if you're looking to buy or sell a house in Berks County or beyond, let me know. This is Brad Weisman from The Brad Weisman Show. You probably know I'm also a realtor, but I wanted to remind you, if you have any questions or you need anything, please give me a call, 484-256-5836. Thanks.